Big game for the Jacksonville Jaguars as they really need to set their identity on a visit to Las Vegas.
You are Locked On Jaguars, your daily Jacksonville Jaguars podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
It is your team every day here on Locked On Jaguars. We thank you for making us your first listen. I am Tony Wiggins, the host of the Locked On Jaguars podcast that you can find wherever you get your podcast, whether you watch or listen, we will be there. And that includes over on Amazon Music, ad-free. Make sure you check out Amazon Music for that. And also wherever else you get your podcast. You don't want to miss an episode like the one today that is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Shout out to the everydayers that join us each and every day here on Locked On Jaguars. We appreciate you and don't take you for granted. And if you're new, thank you for joining us. And hopefully I'll give you an opportunity to become an everydayer. Here's what we're going to talk about today. We'll end the show by me telling the Jaguars players and coaches, y'all ain't no doctors. Don't fix the struggling team. Let them stay sick. You're not an antibiotic. That is for certain. Greg Newsom, the newest acquired Jaguars, at least as the time that we did this show, will be needed for the Jaguars not only this Sunday, but for the rest of the season in a big way because, as we'll start off talking about in segment one, the Jaguars need to reaffirm their position of a team that can cause a lot of turnovers. And that will be aided by the fact that Trayvon Walker took the club off and he's that much closer to being back to being who he is. And that's where we're going to sit here and unpack it. The one thing about this defense the last couple of weeks or the last couple of games, which spans over 3 weeks, shout out to the bye week, is that the Jaguars weren't what we had gotten used to the first 5 weeks of the season. And that is a team that caused havoc defensively and created turnovers, opportunistic turnovers that have led to record-breaking touchdowns on Monday Night Football by Devin Lloyd, just being Johnny on the spot the way Oluokun and Jordan Lewis have so many times this year, even Dewey Wingard. That seems to have disappeared. A lot of people think it's like Tyson Campbell left and they stopped getting turnovers. Yeah, Tyson Campbell wasn't responsible for a whole bunch of those turnovers, by the way. It's a little bit of a coincidence, but it's also a little bit, I believe, of teams making sure that their players didn't turn the ball over because the Jaguars were simply thriving off of those turnovers. In fact, I would argue that at least 4 of those wins, 2 or 3 of them, they wouldn't have won them had they gotten one less turnover in those games. You can make that argument all day long, and it could probably ring out to be true. The Jaguars are sitting at 4-3. They have a game against the Raiders, and the Raiders are one of the worst teams, if not the worst team in the National Football League. They need to get back to their ways. One of those things that they can do is remembering who they were. You saw Liam Cohen's show during the bye week, if you're looking at the all access with the Jaguars. You saw Liam Cohen, the coach, give an impassioned speech to his players. That was a great interaction. And then you saw him in that meeting, in the Jaguars meeting room, with him showing plays of the things that the Jaguars were doing well. One of those plays was Devin Lloyd intercepting Patrick Mahomes and running it all the way back for a touchdown. It was just a reminder of maybe you don't remember, or as I always say, you don't remember what your face looks like unless you're looking in the mirror. Liam Cohen held the mirror up to the Jaguars and said, this is who you are. This is who you were. This is who you showed everybody who you are. Don't let up now. Go back to being that guy or those people. And those people were a team that played like their feet and their hair were both on fire, poking the ball away, peanut punching the ball, being Johnny on the spot, running to the football and hustling every single play. They got to get back to it, and they have an opportunity to do it because, well, the player that they're playing this week, Geno Smith, has feasted on throwing the ball to the other team. So if any game is going to be the game where the Jaguars get back to their turnover self, this is the one. This is the one where they turn back into Pillsbury and serve up a bunch of turnovers that can lead them to win. I don't care that the offense sputtered in those victories. That's part of the identity. That's part of the gritty conversation that we were having about the Jaguars, that I know Liam Cohen loves offense and he's an offensive coach, and everywhere he's been, they've had a dynamic offense. I think that stuff will come. In fact, the offensive line plays a little bit better, and Brian Thomas Jr. can figure out his drops issues, and the Jaguars can come up with a plan now that they've had a bye week to further ingratiate Travis Hunter coming off of his best game into offense, and then get back to being who they are offensively. I think all of those things could continue to improve. You're not going to be able to change your team in the middle of the season. Trade deadline, be damned, whoever you go get, I don't care. You can patch a hole or maybe improve just a little bit or build on some of the things that you're doing. You're not going to be able to totally revamp or retool and start over again from this point moving forward. And there's no more bye weeks. The next time you'll be able to do that in the off season. So I think what they have to do is look at who they are and who they have been up to this point to be successful and ride with that. And that is the running game on offense, but more importantly for defense. The defense has been, to me, the biggest unit that is responsible for this 4-3 start, right? It wouldn't even be that without the defense. You got to get back to defense. We talked about establishing the run again yesterday, so now we're going to focus on the defense. What could change? What could change from the first 5 weeks that we have not seen the last 2 games? Trayvon Walker getting healthier. We know he had a procedure done to his hand after the 49ers game, and he wasn't really himself the last 2 games against Seattle and the Rams. Limited snaps, getting used to the club. I'm not saying he's 100% back, but when you start seeing him take the cast off and he has another little concoction on his hand, that means that he's healing and he's getting closer. And the closer Trayvon Walker gets back to being the Trayvon Walker that we have seen so far this year, to where he was right there with Devin Lloyd as the 2 best players on this defense. And I'm being serious. He's now shown you that he is probably the most valuable player on that defense, because the Jaguars without him haven't been stopping the run. They haven't been as violent up front. The quarterback seems like he's a little bit too comfortable with just Josh Allen providing pressure. And Josh Allen has not provided as much pressure. At least, I don't know what the stats say, but my eyes say that since Trayvon has been gone, he hasn't provided that pressure. The more pressure you get, the more violence you get, the more people start looking over their shoulder and stop playing aggressively and start looking for contact. And that's when the peanut punches and all of that stuff works. Trayvon Walker is a game plan wrecker. He is now back, and I anticipate that he's going to have a big game this week and get the Jaguars back on their turnover ways. It'll also help Greg Newsom, the newest member of the Jacksonville Jaguars, who came over in a trade. Unceremoniously, Jackson Smith and Jigba welcomed him to the NFL with a big 60-some-odd yard touchdown. But that's not all on him. Some of that was on the play call, and now he's getting used to what's going on here in Jacksonville. And I think that the time, and with them being back full strength up front, is going to play a big factor in whether or not they can get going and get their defense back on track. We'll discuss him and his impact in just a second here on Locked On Jaguars. All right, today's show is sponsored and brought to you by Mazda. That's right, Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Listen, Mazda delivers confidence with every ride, with more IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus awards than anyone else as of August of this year. From footwork to breathwork, athletes sweat all the details. Mazda bring this same intention to how we craft every model. You can feel Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from the metallic accents to available Napa leather upholstery. You can make everyday drives feel like anything but everyday drives, from smooth handling to intuitive controls with all-wheel drive standard in every crossover SUV. You can drive with confidence through almost any season. Like our players, we sweat every detail, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. And today's show is sponsored and brought to you by Gametime. The NFL is back, and honestly, there's nothing better than being in the stadium surrounded by fans cheering on your team. But let's be honest, getting tickets can be a hassle. Between queues, login screens, and prices jumping all over the place at checkout, it's a very, very frustrating process. That's why I use Gametime, the app that gives the advantage back to fans. Gametime is fast, it's easy, and it's backed by Gametime's guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all fees are included. So the price you see is the price you pay. Tell you what, I pulled up on the Gametime app in just a couple of taps. Bap, bap. I saw amazing deals, and I'm talking about your favorite NFL games as low as $100. Download the Gametime app and create an account. Use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Swap, type, ticket, go. Download Gametime today. It is hump day here on Locked On Jaguars. Make sure you tap in tomorrow. We will have our Thursday crossover as we always do on tomorrow. So make sure you check that out. I got my man Q Myers in the building. Q's all over the place, man. He Locked On Raiders. He does ESPN radio on a national level at night. I got some really, really good stuff for you to come up in that episode. So make sure you tap in wherever you get your podcast. But it is not Thursday yet. It is Wednesday. We're talking about the Jaguars trying to get back over the hump. Shout out to Wednesday being hump day. Get back over the hump and get back to the winning ways that we saw earlier this year. Teams get tape on you, man. And when they get tape on you, the one thing about the NFL, and I learned this from watching NFL coaches and coordinators when they go back to college, they're going to run the same stuff over and over again until you can show them that you can stop it. If you can't stop it, they're going to keep doing it. The NFL is the master of doing things that they know you don't want them to do, pushing buttons that you don't want them to push. And that probably led Liam Cohen a little bit to try to attack the secondaries for their last two opponents. A little bit of that led to him also losing the Jaguars' identity. So we'll see if they can get some of that back. One of the things that the Jaguars pride themselves on are dudes that can play the ball and have a high football IQ. Keep in mind, when you think about Buster Brown, Monteric Brown, who hasn't had a lot of playing time in all of the years he's been with the Jaguars, Travis Hunter being a rookie, Jordan Lewis, this being his first year here, Eric Murray, this is his first year here, and now Greg Newsom, he's been here for about 3 weeks. Time enough to have a good cup of coffee, right? Well, Jaguar fans ain't going to care about none of that stuff. They don't care about patience. And I understand it. This is not a slight to them. This is just the way it is, man. Folks need to win and win now while the iron is hot. You better strike because the Colts are sitting there at 7-1 and trying to run away with the division. And it's going to be hard to make the wild card if you don't hit the layups. And this is a layup because the Raiders are one of the worst teams in the league. They also have a receiver named Jacoby Myers that everyone wants on this team. His availability, don't know about it. It's not the first time the Jaguars have played against a team. In fact, they've done it twice this year where they played against the team. And right after that, either took a player off of their roster in Colin Saunders or a player off of their practice squad in quarterback, Gus Bradley's kid, to bring him here and make him a backup quarterback. So it could be something where they're scouting it. We don't want them to scout Jacoby Myers this week and say, yeah, that's the dude we want. Because if that happens, that means that my man Greg Newsom might have had a rough game. And they don't want Greg Newsom to be having rough games. They acquired Greg Newsom in a trade for Tyson Campbell, who, if you watch the tape, you know exactly why they traded Tyson Campbell. It had nothing to do with his salary. It probably had a little bit to do with it, but it was his play combined with probably his salary and what the commitment to him was over the next couple of years, and the fact that he didn't really fit their scheme. And the Jaguars coaches are going to be here for a while running the scheme that they run. So they made a trade for Greg Newsom, who is a better tackler in the open field and is a little bit more sticky in his coverage and has better ball skills. Jaguar fans aren't very patient because a couple of days after Greg Newsom got here, like I said, he got roasted. And a lot of people blamed it on him. However, in Liam Cohen's description of the play that Jackson Smith and Jigba caught a 60-some-odd yard touchdown, He basically said we got caught in a beater with outside leverage. So he took it off of his player and took accountability for the staff and for the coaches. Sometimes the ball's going to beat you, man. Right play, right call. The edge rusher was really, really close to actually getting to Sam Darnold. He missed him by, it's a game of inches, man, and it's a game of seconds. He missed him just by a little bit and allowed the throw to come in for a touchdown. And the Seahawks knew that Greg Newsom had just got there. He's had a couple of weeks. When he got here, he had a little bit of a tight hamstring, and hopefully those things have worked themselves out, because he's going to be dependent on to be more sticky than what he showed early on. And they're going to be needing to put him in a better position. So all eyes will be on Greg Newsom by default, one, because they need to be, because they're going to get back to their ways, the back end and the front end. And that's why I talked about Trayvon, because I think those two things work hand in hand, the pressure along with the coverage, and vice versa, the coverage along with the pressure. Combined with the fact that Geno Smith isn't very good. And it pains me to say that, because I loved his story, how he came back, but he's playing for the same coach, different offensive coordinator, different city, of course. It rains a lot in Seattle. It rains a lot in Vegas too, but it rains $1 bills in Vegas. So I ain't going to sit here and say that has anything to do with it. But what I am telling you is I don't care. They're going to need Greg Newsom to be the player that they hoped he could be, the talented player that all of us believed he can. If he starts playing well, I wouldn't be surprised if the Jaguars re-upped him for a couple of years before the end of the season, because that will alleviate their ability to have to, or their need to go out and get another corner. They could probably re-up him and Monteric Brown at, decent prices, and have two outside starting corners if they're going to use Travis Hunter so much on offense, and then just spot Travis Hunter in on defense and let his big playability help him over there. That's all a possibility. But I tell you what, people are going to be watching Greg Newsom for two reasons: to see if he can hold up, to make sure that the back end and the front end are back in alignment, so those guys can go out and play wild and loose and free and stick to the ball. But the other part of it is, I think he's going to spend a lot of his time guarding Jakobi Meyers, and that is a person that the Jaguars fans, at the very least, have zoomed in and zeroed in as a target for the Jaguars to go out and get. Now, that may have gone out of the window a little bit when Liam Cohen made it perfectly clear that the Jaguars have no interest whatsoever in moving Brian Thomas Jr. If you go out and make a move for Jakobi Meyers, who has 1 year left on his deal, the one he's playing in, then it's a situation where, okay, you got Brian Thomas Jr., who you're still not giving up on, and you shouldn't. You got Travis Hunter, who you said you're going to spend most of his time at wide receiver moving forward. They haven't really said it, but they've kind of inferred it. And then you got Parker Washington, who he's one of everybody's favorites as the third receiver. And, of course, Tim Patrick, who has caught a touchdown and has done some good things in the running game as a blocker. But now you're using another resource on a guy like Jakobi Meyers, and you got to wonder where and how does he fit in if all of those other things are true, if they are going to go out and get it. Greg Newsom can shut all of that up with a little bit of a stellar play, and maybe forcing Geno to do what Geno does, Geno Smith, and that is turn the ball over. The Jaguars in the past, and I know we don't like to bring that up because it's a different regime, in the past have been what I call the antibiotic, the elixir, or the vaccine for teams that are sick. And they allow teams to get fixed and to get well when they play them. Let us not do that in Las Vegas. Whatever disease is in Vegas, whatever happens in Vegas, I want it to stay out there. Don't go out there and catch it and get on a plane and come back and bring it back to Jacksonville. We'll discuss why it's very, very important that the Jaguars do not allow a struggling team to find its mojo. We'll do that in just a second here on Locked On Jaguars.
I'm Cody Rourke from Locked On Broncos, and this episode is brought to you by Peloton. Peloton is shaping the future of fitness with the brand new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus, powered by Peloton IQ. This is Peloton's most advanced equipment yet, giving you real-time guidance and endless ways to move, whether you're running, lifting, or you're cross-training with your favorite instructors like Alex Toussaint. It's training reimagined to make your workout more personal. Peloton is built for breakthroughs with features that help you plan, stay motivated, and hit peak performance. You can let yourself run, lift, flex, and go, while Peloton handles all the rest. Plus, Peloton IQ provides real-time strength coaching, tracking your progress and suggesting weights that challenge you so you can get stronger. Plus, the new movement tracking camera, it counts your reps and corrects your form in real time, making sure every rep is safer and smarter. So let yourself run, lift, flex, push, and go. Explore the new Peloton cross-training Tread Plus at onepeloton.com.
Rolling along here on a hump day edition of Locked On Jaguars. This ain't no emergency room. The Jaguars are not emergency rooms. You're not some trauma doctor or nurse. You're not an ambulance. Don't be letting people get fixed on your time and your dime. Your football players, man. Make them stay sick. The Raiders have been sick all year, right? You're going to hear it when you hear the crossover tomorrow about all the problems they have. Drafting running backs and tight ends, and Chip Kelly looks like he's going to be out of a job. Pete Carroll might be out of one. Got Tom Brady sitting all up there calling games, feeling like he's calling the game and then running down there and putting on a headset. At the same time, the GOAT got Spy Tech, who they went and got from Tampa, who had a stellar reputation. Nothing is going good for him. People even talk about they may be feeling calls for Max Crosby. Make them come up Monday morning and have to answer that phone. Make them sell everything. And then you can go buy something if you want, if you're a Jaguar fan. But what can't happen is we start having headaches and hangovers and deja vus from years past, where every team that struggles, the second that they play the Jacksonville Jaguars, they go, there it is. That's what we need. Teams have been in the desert, man, and we're going out to the desert in Vegas. And what's that thing called when you think you see water? It's not a mirage. It's whatever they call it. I don't know. I watched a lot of TV when I was young, but they start seeing water. Now all of a sudden, thirst is gone because they get closer to it. I want y'all to make sure, Jaguars, that they realize when they get there, it wasn't water at all. It was just their mind playing tricks on them like the Ghetto Boys. Don't allow the Raiders to fix themselves. Because if you do, here's what's going to happen. Fans are going to automatically go back and say, same old Jaguars, we're still broken. It cannot happen. It is a nightmare I have had over and over again. I'm resigned to the fact that I don't care if they win this game with a walk-off 60-yard field goal from Cam Little. And I know that seems unlikely with the way Cam Little has been kicking this year. I don't care if they do that. I want them. This is where y'all get on Wig when Wig talks about, yeah, they won, but they could have won better. This doesn't. I'm getting back to just get a win. They lost 2 in a row. I don't care if it's controversial. I don't care if they stop Oakland on the 1-yard line with a 5-point lead. Whatever they got to do to get back on that plane at 5-3 is what they need to do. This loss would make the post-game show and the Monday edition of Locked On Jaguars epic. I don't want the numbers. For all the people that say I do clickbait and all of that stuff, I don't know where you get that from, but I'm going to tell you right now, I want them to win. And I'll have the poorest numbers that I could ever have if the Jaguars win the game and win it ugly. I don't care if those things happen. They can win it and win it ugly as far as I'm concerned. Whatever you have to do, however it looks, we'll take it. I will take it. Been watching these cooking shows, man. They say presentation is everything. They put the food on the plate and wipe the plate and put parsley, and they make sure that little shrimp is sitting right on top of it. I wouldn't give a dang if y'all put that stuff in a cereal bowl and mix it all together like jambalaya. Just go get the win and come back. Go get the win and come back. Wins are hard to come by in the National Football League. But if you lose the game, ain't nobody going to sit there and make that excuse that wins are hard to come by. I know they'll wonder why you lost to a team that absolutely stinks and is one of the worst teams in the league? That's what everybody's going to wonder. And you're coming off of a bye week. You've done all of this self-reflection. You've had all of the access. See, the thing about access is it's good. It lets the fans know that you're still pressing towards the mark and saying and relaying the messages that you want received. However, if you have a bad loss, after all of that stuff, oh boy, they'll turn on you real quick and tell you ain't doing nothing but just bloviating and pushing hot air. It's almost like if you're a Florida State fan and you keep hearing Mike Norvell talk about respond, man, I'm sick of responding to losses. That is the stuff that you don't want all of that apathy to start setting in. And then you don't want people to say, are they hearing the message, or what are we really, really good at? And then you don't want all the people questioning, because one of the things that will come out of this also, and I'm not trying to preempt y'all to a loss, I'm just telling you why a loss is devastating. Then you're going to have, that old dude out-coached that young guy, didn't he? I can see it coming right now a mile away. And even if those narratives are right, wrong, or indifferent, I just don't want to hear about it. I don't feel like going through that. And this ain't about me, Jaguars. This is about you. If you look at the standings right now, the Jaguars, if the playoffs started today, and thank God they don't, the Jaguars would be 8th, and they'd be on the outside looking in. That's where they would be, because there's enough teams around, with the Colts being a surprise in our division, with the Patriots being surprised in the East, and with 3 teams being very, very competitive out west in the AFC West. The playoff picture is starting to look real, real crowded. And you guys have heard me talk about making layups. This is a game where Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars need to make their layups and don't play with their food. This is the one. If there's ever a game, this is the one. Jaguars, you got to get this game. You have to win. If you don't, you're going to hear all about it from me on Locked On NFL and on the postgame show. That's right. You will. Monday morning, first and foremost, Tyler Rowland will let you know each and every morning, in fact, on the Locked On AM morning show. He'll hit you like a double shot of espresso. And then I'll slide by in the barbershop at about 2 to take you through all of the things around the National Football League by using local hosts to keep our finger on the pulse of each team. Make sure you check it out wherever you get your podcast. I don't want us to be a subject on either one of those shows, because if the Jaguars win, ain't nobody going to say nothing nationally. But if they lose, you can bet your bottom dollar that people going to be climbing out of the sewer like the meme that you see all the time, just coming out of the woodwork to slam us, and I just don't want that to happen. And I don't want it to happen for the fans. I don't want it to happen for Liam Cohen. I don't want it to happen for those players. All right, man, make sure y'all tap in. We'll have a crossover tomorrow with my man Q Myers from Locked On Raiders. Until then, you guys take care, and thank you again for joining us. If you're an everyday or a first-timer, we do not take you for granted. 28 strong minutes today. We'll see you tomorrow here on Locked On Jaguars.